We will talk now about Surah 23, verse number 14, Al-Mu'minun Surah. You know, always we hear Muslims talking about miracles in the Quran, and we will talk about one of those miracles to show that this is not a miracle, this is a disaster. In that surah, supposedly Allah is acting as a doctor and He's telling us how the baby is created. He's saying the following: then we made the sperm into a clot. Let us stop in here. The sperm will transfer to be a clot. First, according to science, and all of you can go and read, sperm don't transfer to anything. All what the sperm do, activate the egg of the woman and transfer the message of the DNA. And after that, he die.
Professor Keith Moore is one of the world's prominent scientists in the fields of anatomy and embryology, and is the author of the book entitled The Developing Human, which has been translated into 8 languages. The book is considered a scientific reference work and was chosen by the Special Committee in the United States as the best book authorized by one person.
Is Alaka. Let's have the next slide. Alaka is Surah Al-Mu'minun, Ayah 14. Then we created the drop into a leech-like structure. Then of that leech-like structure, we made a chewed-like substance. Alaka refers to a leech-like appearance, especially at about 22 days, as shown in this slide. This is a leech, and this is the human embryo, about 23 days. I think you have to agree that the similarity between these structures is amazing, and that it is truly, the human embryo is truly leech-like. The leech-like embryo is attached to the chorionic sac, which is embedded in the maternal blood and attached to the maternal endometrium, or the lining of the uterus. This is the Mudga stage, from Surah Al-Mu'minun, Ayah 1 to 14, and I repeated that before. Then we created the drop into a leech-like structure. Then of that leech-like structure, we made a chewed-like substance, which you can see here, and begins during the 6th week.
Then he continued, the fetus in the loom, Then we made out of that loom bones, and clothed the bones with flesh. Now, which mean in here that out of that loom we made bones. So the first thing Allah will create from the loom is bones. So you know, your son, when your wife is pregnant, he is just a bunch of bones attached to each other. And this is a very false lie, because if you go and see how the baby is created, you will see all things is created together, grow together, establish together, and they grow.
Surah Al-Mu'minun, Ayah 14. Then we clothed the bones with flesh. So in the previous stage, then we had the bones, and then we covered the bones with flesh. So this Arabic term means a clothing with flesh, and after the bones form, they become surrounded or clothed by flesh or muscles, which acquire attachments to them. These muscle attachments permit movements of the skeleton to occur. Now this is the final stage of development called Al-Nasha. Then we developed of him another creation. Al-Nasha means growth or coming into being. This undoubtedly refers to the fetal period when there is growth and differentiation of the embryo that developed in the embryonic period. The rate of body growth during the fetal period is remarkable, especially between the 9th and 16th weeks. You can notice how quickly it's growing in this nasha stage, or fetal period as we call it. The next stage is al-Qabliya. This surah says that the duration of pregnancy and separation is 30 months. This Arabic term refers to the viability or ability of the human fetus to survive outside the uterus. There is no definite time when survival of the fetus is assured, but it is generally accepted now that a fetus that is 24 weeks or older has a reasonable chance of survival. Survival of fetuses 22 to 24 weeks old has only become possible in the last few years when better methods of providing care for premature infants were developed. So the period viable embryo or fetus would be here at 24 weeks. We used to say 26, 28, but now with better incubation, some babies at 24 weeks can survive, and we've even had some at 22 weeks, but this takes highly sophisticated incubation to do that. So this period then is the period of viability or the ability of the human fetus to survive. The next stage is the al-Hadana, al-Rahimiyah. This stage refers to the final stages of fetal development in the uterus when the fetus could survive if born prematurely, but it remains in the uterus where it is supported or nourished by the mother. In most cases, therefore, the uterus acts as an incubator for the premature infant. Weight gain during these final weeks is phenomenal as the fetus accumulates fat and is gradually prepared for birth.
And here, Allah is saying something very funny. In the English translation, they are saying, and Allah is the best to create. But the fact in Arabic, look with me. This is the word in Arabic. I will move the camera there. Look, please. You see it? Al-Khaliqeen. Al-Khaliqeen, it means the creators. The creators. Not creator, creators. So the Quran saying Allah is the best of the creators, which means there's many creators, but Allah is the best. So there's many God, because you know what? If there's many creators, this means there's many God. So in here.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful.
قل هو الله أحد.
Say, He is Allah, the One.
الله الصمد.
Allah, the eternally besought of all.
لم يلد ولم يولد.
He begetteth not, nor was begotten.
ولم يكن له كفوا أحد.
And there's none comparable unto Him.
Little was known about the staging and classification of human embryos until the 20th century. For this reason, the descriptions of the human embryo in the Quran cannot be based on scientific knowledge in the 7th century. The only reasonable conclusion is that these descriptions were revealed to Muhammad from God, from God, from God, from God, from God, from God.
Dr. T.V.N. Persaud. Dr. T.V.N. Persaud is Professor of Anatomy, Professor of Pediatrics and Child Health, and Professor of Obstetrics, Gynecology, and Reproductive Sciences at the University of Manitoba in Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada. There he was the chairman of the Department of Anatomy for 16 years. He is well known in his field. He is the author or editor of 22 textbooks and has published over 180 scientific papers. In 1991, he received the most distinguished award presented in the field of anatomy in Canada, the JCEB Grant Award from the Canadian Association of Anatomists. Dr. Persaud is the penultimate speaker that you are about to hear, saying what he has to say about how science is in total conformity with what was revealed in the Quran 1430 years ago to a man who was illiterate and lived at a time when it was impossible for him to know anything of the complexities of what you have so far heard. Dr. Persaud will be discussing issues pertaining to ladies and how the Quran succinctly and correctly stated scientific facts impossible for anyone to have known at that time. He further states facts and figures pertaining to the current sexual promiscuity and the health-related problems due to this. What is amazing is how this was clearly stated by Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, long before any of these facts were known to the medical world. Let's now listen to what Dr. T.V.N. Persaud has to say on these amazing issues.
The growth of the fetus progresses rapidly until the beginning of the 12th week, after which it enters a new phase of rapid growth and dramatic changes. The rapid growth and dramatic changes which occur after the bones have been clothed by muscles have been mentioned in the Holy Quran 1400 years ago. And this is recorded, this is the Surah Al-Mu'minun, Ayah 14. The first slide is a scanning electron micrograph of an embryo that is just 5 weeks old. The embryo, as you will see, is curled. It is no more than a half an inch in length, and the upper part forms 2/3 of the entire body. There is a limb bud there, and there is in fact a tail. The heart is in its very primitive stage, but it's in fact beating rhythmically. And this is a special technique which is used for clearing the embryo so that it becomes transparent, and then a stain is used to stain the bony parts which have appeared, and this is what you're seeing here. It comprises mostly of cartilage, which gives form to the body of the embryo and confers upon it unquestionably human characteristics. This stage of a 7-week-old fetus, its own unique personality, perhaps as a thinking, conscious, and feeling being. And the Prophet Muhammad, peace be unto him, mentioned all these events I've described and their time in the hadith. And we don't have a transparency, but I'll read it for you. When 42 nights have passed over the sperm drop, Allah sends an angel to it, who shapes it and makes it ears, eyes, skin, flesh, and bones. Then he says, "O Lord, is it male or female?" And your Lord decides what he wishes, and the angel records it. Thank you.